live. And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Connected for Real podcast. I'm Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman. I'm a marriage coach for women in business, and I love that intersection where marriage and business and your life and God all come together. And today we are talking about goals and marriage, and specifically the goals that you have for your home and for your space and for the atmosphere in your home. And today with me is Sandy, and she's going to introduce herself, and then we'll get right into it.
Thanks, Bat-Chen. So nice to be here with you. So my name is Sandy Brudner. I'm an interior designer and home stylist. I made Aliyah to Israel with my husband and 6 kids 18 years ago. My kids at the time were 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, and 11. Today, Baruch Hashem, they range in age between 20 and 30. And we have 3 beautiful little granddaughters that we really enjoy. Shortly after arriving in Israel, I opened up a studio designing homes for English speaking. Most of them live overseas, and we design, plan, manage the projects for our clients. They're purchasing homes in new development projects or secondhand homes. So we take care of everything for them. They don't speak the language. Our clients don't speak the language. They don't know the trades. They are not here physically to take care of all the details. So we do that all for them.
That's amazing. I love that. So you've been doing that for 18 years.
I actually started approximately 16 years ago. Once we arrived in Israel, I went to school here. I studied interior design here in Israel. And shortly after, I opened up the studio. So it's been 16 years.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So take me through the process of how a person can really make, because if you're buying in a project, you think, oh, they probably thought everything through. Like, why do I need a designer? Or, if somebody already lived in a house, then it's already functional enough for you to move into. Why would somebody want to hire an interior designer and really, take that leap?
Okay, so when our clients purchase in new development projects, first of all, we start early on, sometimes even before they purchase their homes. We go through their technical specifications, which is a listing of everything that is included within the apartment, within a standard package apartment. So we inform them and educate them as to what the client, what they're purchasing, what they're actually purchasing. It's in Hebrew, difficult to understand. You can definitely Google that and get it translated, but we're giving them a summary of all the different elements that are included and all the specifications that are included within the apartment. Now, purchasing a new development project, they're quite standard apartments. So we are there to make changes to the plan and incorporate our clients' needs into the apartment. Everybody has different needs. So it's a matter of communicating with the client, listening to our clients to hear what their needs are, what their style, what their lifestyle is, what their vision for their apartment is, and then incorporating those details into their finished apartment, into possibly upgrading their apartment, and into the ambiance that they want to create within their apartment.
Okay, cool. I love that. So what are some practical tips about how, any one of our listeners, me, you, whoever is here, can, find those specifications for themselves? Because it's really hard. A lot of times, you know what you like, maybe, or you see something on a magazine, you're like, oh, that's nice, but it's not practical, it's not for me, or whatever it is. How do we find that? I think what I'm trying to say is, how do we find what we like and what we desire before we even start to work with someone or to get to the actual results that we want?
So, like you mentioned just a second ago, looking through magazines, that's really important in understanding what it is that you like. Just flipping through magazines, there's so much online now, Pinterest, and so many different websites that you can look through. What catches your eye? It's what catches your eye that goes into us. So looking through those magazines, looking through Pinterest, it's actually one of the first steps that I ask my clients to do. One of the first steps is for them to fill out a questionnaire that I have. It's a lengthy questionnaire so that I can learn about them, their families, their personalities, their loves and their hates. And the other step is to create a file, whether it's a hard file just by flipping through magazines, or to create a Pinterest board. And that's how sometimes you get to learn about yourself and what you like and what elements you want to incorporate into your house. And it's a way for me when I'm working with my clients to understand visually what it is that they like. Because somebody might say that they verbally say that they like, for example, the color blue. But there's so many different variations of blue. It's for them to be able to put it on a Pinterest board. This is the blue that I like. Visually, I'm able to understand and to know that we're both on the same page. So a client might also tell me that they want a modern home. So what does that mean to you? Because for you, a modern home might be different than it is for me.
Right.
So it's that vision board is really important.
Oh, that's such a good point. And, I'm just thinking for a person who's sitting there going, I'm so far from, buying the home or designing the home or actually hiring someone that I just don't feel like there's any point in looking into it. And I want to say, yes, there is. Pinterest is free, and all you have to do is start collecting my dream home or my dream design ideas or what I like and what I hate. I love that you added what I hate. I never thought about that, but it's actually easier to find what you hate than what you love. And it really points you in the right direction when you get clear on what you don't like. So I really love that you're saying that, because if that's step one and that's free, then that's accessible to anyone. And
Yes.
it will get you that much closer to then having clarity about, oh, what do I need to do? Sometimes the upgrades that you need to make are so minute that you think they're this gigantic project, and really they're not.
I actually, just on the topic of vision boards, I actually got together with friends in our neighborhood a few weeks ago, and we created a vision board for the year. So a Pinterest board is very much like the same thing. In our vision boards, we're dreaming about what we want our year to look like. We're dreaming about different aspects of our life, family life, financial aspects. We're also maybe incorporating, if we want a new home, we're incorporating that new home into that vision board. So a Pinterest board is, it's its own chapter within that vision board.
Right.
So, even if you're not ready to buy it yet or to acquire it yet, start dreaming about it. If that's what you want, then, if it's a large dining room for your family and your guests, or if it's, something specific for your master bedroom, incorporate it into that vision board, into that Pinterest board. And that becomes your vision board for your home.
Yeah. And I just have to say about vision boards, you guys, anytime I sit down and actually get really, really clear on what I want, and I have created vision boards in the past where I thought it would take, if ever, it would take me all year to reach. And in the end, I think I checked off, because the person who we did vision boards a while back, she said, when you actually achieve something, put the date on it, right? I put the date on every single thing on that vision board before Hanukkah. We did it in Tishrei, and it was like 3 months later, and I finished the entire thing, and I was shocked. Like, how did that happen? And this year, I didn't actually make a vision board, but I set a goal for myself to plan the entire podcast for the year. And guys, I am booked out. And it blows my mind because I thought it was impossible. I thought, what a crazy goal. But it's once you tell your brain where we're going, it's like putting in the GPS. Your brain knows where to go. It just does. And we can't forget that God is, guiding it all. So it's just extremely helpful for us to get really clear on what we want, because if it is God's will and everything does align, we are open to hearing the guidance, and then we just sort of follow that. And it's just an amazing opportunity for us to really connect and have that relationship. So I love that. I love that we're getting really clear of what we want, because that is step one of the CALM method. Now let's talk about how this affects your marriage.
So our homes, I always say that our homes are the foundation of our lives. It's the place that we feel safe and secure, and the place that nurtures us. We want to feel energized and rejuvenated and full of energy when we start our days. And we want to feel welcomed and nurtured when we end our days. So our homes definitely contribute to our well-being, and definitely contribute to our family life, our marriages, interactions that we have with friends, with neighbors. I definitely feel, especially since I've always known it for so long, since I started in the business, and prior, but I think it really, really hit home during Corona, when we were all in our homes. And that's when I think we just all felt it so strongly. I remember at the time there were so many people during Corona who wanted to, fix up their homes and renovate and just make it an enjoyable and aesthetically pleasing area and space to live in.
Right. Yeah. The atmosphere in your home is definitely affected by the physical space, right? Just like what we wear and what we eat and how we take care of our body affects our soul and how we function in the world. It's so similar. So what are some things that we should look out for in our environment that really make the biggest difference? Like the thing that you say, if you're going to do one thing, this is going to really move the needle for you.
Okay, so I think for that, everybody will have their own what's most important to them. Personally, for myself, I find that having an organized and decluttered space is so important. In general, that's the first thing that I recommend when you're going to be revamping and renovating a space, is to declutter. You might have, 2-3 meters worth of closet filled with clothes, whatever it is. And then once you declutter, you realize that you don't even need all that space, because you've taken out the things that you don't need. I usually say if you haven't used it in a year, you won't need it. When you need it in another 2-3 years, buy new. You can give it away, you can throw it. There's so many different things that you could do with different things in order to declutter, repurposing. So that's my first suggestion. And then it's a matter of what inspires you. Is it a specific color? Is it a specific texture? Is it a specific idea? Sometimes a quote. So that's where I would, I normally like to pick a concept and then go from there, and pull elements and colors and different things that inspire me from that concept and incorporate it into the home.
Cool. So can you give me an idea of a concept and how we can really pull from it, so that I can get more clear on what that means?
Okay, so for a home that I completed not long ago, a client of mine sent me a picture that looked a bit like a farm. It was a picture of a farmhouse, and its color was blue. It's one of these farmhouses that you find in the U.S. So that is actually the concept that I went with, and I incorporated different elements from this image that he sent me. He was out on vacation in a different city. I don't remember where it was. And he sent me, do you think we can hang this on one of the walls? And I said, sure. But this was like at the very beginning when we just started designing his place. But so I took that image and I used that image as my springboard. And from that image, we used a lot of wood materials. We did a barn. We incorporated barn door into the apartment. We incorporated an accent wall behind his bed. It was because of that, and we also used a lot of blue in the apartment. It was because of that image that I was able to pull different elements from that to make it to be creative, and also to make it a home that's unique to him. Right. That no other home that I design is going to look like that home, because I've taken something that spoke to him. Art speaks to us in general, touches the soul. So I took something that touched his soul and that touched him from the inside, and I drew from that.
Oh, I love that. One of the things that comes up for me anytime I talk about interior design is the fact that there's a lot of things that are really beautiful, but they're just not practical. And especially now that I'm expecting my number 8, it's like, as decluttered and minimalist as I can get, I will never have less than 10 pairs of shoes all over the house, right? Because each person needs at least one pair. And of course, they don't end in one pair. Everybody has one pair of this and one pair of that. And same with coats, and same with hats, and same with, so everything is multiplied, and you feel like there's just a ton of everything. How do you bring in the practicality and the aesthetics together? Because I find that a lot of the things that I find on Pinterest are just so beautiful and minimalist, because all they have is 2 kids. Like, thank you, but not really practical. So that's one of my biggest things that always comes up, is like, if only they knew.
So here in Israel, places are smaller than what we're used to. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, but from Toronto, America. Places I found here that my place is definitely smaller than what I had there. And in general, I think that's the case. So it's definitely important to be practical. So whereas we may take, for example, a console that is just a tabletop console, here I like to maximize space. And so I would use maybe a console that has different, drawers down to the floor, whereas the console, the beautiful console that we see on Pinterest might just be the legs and a beautiful tabletop. Here I'm thinking, okay, we need to maximize space. We need to incorporate, we need that storage space. So I'm gonna go all the way down to the floor with drawers, or incorporate a few drawers into that, whatever it is. The same type of idea in bathrooms. I need to maximize the space for storage in bathrooms, incorporate the drawers, incorporate the shelving. It might be more beautiful to just like have a tabletop with a sink on top, but we need to maximize the space. So that's a couple of different areas that where we're maximizing space.
Yeah, I love that. Maximize your space, people. That's definitely where it's at. Wow. Okay. What other great tips do you have for us?
So let's talk about a master bedroom, because we are talking a little bit about marriage. So a master bedroom is a shared space between a husband and wife. So it's important to communicate between the husband and the spouse to know what each of them wants to incorporate into the room. Obviously, there's going to be the master, the bedroom, the bed itself. It should be very comfortable. It should have a very comfortable mattress and pillows. comfort that will rejuvenate them so that they can start the day with inspired and with new energies. But there's a lot of beautiful aesthetics that can be added to a room. A lot of textures that can be added in the bed frame, in the bedding, in curtains. Just having that, the room that envelopes you in comfort and in beauty adds calmness and makes it a welcoming place that you enjoy walking into.
I love that. So actually using the planning period as a place to communicate what each person finds is most important to them. That's a great point. That's a really great point. I can already tell you that if I sit down with my husband and I'm like, what's your ideal bedroom? He'll be like, I don't care. Just make it practical. I just need to have a bed and to know that I don't need to walk over things to get to it. Right. He's extremely practical and very not interested in like fluff. And also, I think he would want light colored walls because right now we have an accent wall that's dark behind our bed and it makes him crazy.
So I actually find that in some of the projects that I have with clients, my main contact is the wife. And in some of the projects, the main contact is the husband, which is interesting. And in some of the projects, the truth is that they're both very involved, which is also nice. And the truth is, it's also a learning experience for me. But I'm always intrigued and by who takes the lead in the projects and how they incorporate what the spouse wants into what we're doing.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about when spouses don't really agree on the necessity of having a designer. Like, you're good with this. Why do you need to hire someone? You're designy enough, or you have good taste. Why are we paying someone else to do some of this, work when you could be doing it yourself?
Okay, so I'll bring up an example. I actually had an initial consultation with a couple today. They made Aliyah a number of months ago, and they went out and purchased their furniture and different things in their home. But they're still feeling like the home isn't warm for them, isn't a place that they enjoy spending time in. So they asked me to come for a consultation to give them ideas. And I, as soon as I walked in, first of all, the bones of the apartment are beautiful. It has a lot of character, but the furnishings are not complete. They could not put their finger on what it is that it was missing. But as soon as I walked in, I saw that it was not a place that welcomes you. So we're going to be adding a lot of textiles, curtains, pillows, area rugs. We're going to be adding closets because they don't have sufficient closets in order to store all their things. So even to the point where they were thinking of getting rid of the couches that they recently purchased and, where to see where we can go with it. I told them that we didn't need to do that, that we can use the couches that they just bought not long ago, and we'll work around it in order to make a beautiful home. But other reasons that somebody may hire an interior designer is that in the long run, if you think about the scenario with my client today, is we're saving money. They purchased couches, they purchased armchairs, they purchased dining room tables, but they didn't coordinate all the aspects together. So if they were to have to buy again now, in the long run, we're saving them money. We're also designing a cohesive space, a space that's going to be cohesive and welcoming for them, so that when they walk in, they feel enveloped and they feel welcomed. We also know the trades. We know the people that we're dealing with. We have experience with them, so we know that they're going to do a good job, that they're going to come back when they say that they're going to come. They're going to deliver when they say they're going to deliver. These are all perks that you get when you're dealing with an interior designer.
Right. You have all the connections that a regular person doesn't have if they're doing it for the first time. Yeah, it's, I have a friend who said she became the interior designer for her mom because her mom made Aliyah, and she's the one who speaks Hebrew, and she's the one with the car. So she's running around all these places picking tiles and picking things and trying to figure it all out herself. And as designy as she is, she says, it's the first time I'm ever doing this. So to me, this is, like she was just feeling extremely overwhelmed by all of the mistakes she has to make along the way just to learn what she needs to learn. And you can save all of that hassle by just getting someone who's made all the mistakes for you. My father always said, learn from other people's mistakes so that you don't have to make them yourself. So I feel like here you're basically paying someone to borrow their experience so that you don't have to have all of those experiences that aren't really serving your process. Yes, they're teaching you a lot along the way, but it's not necessarily what you want to be spending your time and money on right now.
We're also reducing stress, and we're normally doing that, running around for our clients. And you can concentrate what you're good at. We're doing what we're good at, and you can concentrate what you're good at.
Right. I love that. I'll give you an example of what happened when we were designing our home. I had a friend who came in who is an interior designer. She's just incredible. She walked in just to I want to see your house. I'm so excited, whatever. She walked in and said, you don't have any lighting above the sinks. Like, why is there no lighting? What do you think? Your light is behind you, and you're going to be standing between the lettuce and the light, and your shadow is going to be shadowing the lettuce. You're not going to be able to see anything. And it was so perfect that she walked in right then, and noticed that, because we ended up adding lighting. And yes, we had to pay a little bit more money to drill in the ceiling and do the whole thing, but it's so worth it because now I have light above my sinks. It's like so nice in the kitchen. But then after that, I hired her to come back and tell me about different little details that I was missing because I just never did it before. So she made decisions about, positioning the sink a certain way in the bathroom so that there's more space, or, moving things around, doing things right, on the first try so that we don't have to, sort of pay a price to redo it or fix it later.
As designers, I know that I've spoken to other colleagues about this. We walk into a home and we're just like, our eyes are moving around, seeing, what mistakes went on here, or what ideas can we take and incorporate them, and what inspires us, or
Yeah. So let's talk about some of these mistakes. What mistakes do you see that people make when they're not using a designer?
So actually, this apartment that I walked into earlier today, this is not something that my clients did. It was already there when they purchased their home. And honestly, I don't know whether they used, the original owners used a designer or not, but the toilet was not the right distance. It was supposed to be from the wall. So they're very, squished up to the wall in its positioning. I would say another area is mistakes, electrical points, not having enough electrical points, or not having them in the right location. Lighting, like you mentioned, having the right lighting, having the position of the lighting in the right location. Having things centered. For example, an air conditioning vent. When we're planning the location of the air conditioning vent, when we're planning a home, we're able to see. Personally, myself, I'm able to see it in 3D all the different aspects of it without actually seeing it on paper. I'm able to visualize it. So I'm able to see where different elements are supposed to go, their location in connection to other things within the home. One example is the air conditioning vent. I find in general, whether homeowners or builders, they're not centering them properly. So these are things that I'm able to see visually just in my mind's eye in order to plan them out properly.
Yeah, and you could probably imagine where a person would be sitting because you're already designing the couch positioning and all that stuff, where they would want the vent to be pointing, or not pointing.
Well, there's specific areas where it can point or where we can plan air conditioning from. It's all centralized within. It's not that you could put air conditioning on one side of the house and then put it on another side. Right. It has to all connect with the main unit. But yes, we're thinking about where there's where the room is located, how it's located, in order to get the proper airflow.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we're talking about goals, and specifically when a person has goals for what they want their house to look like and what they want their house to feel like, and you're all excited about this project that you're going into, it feels like sometimes it's never ending and there isn't ever a time when you could check off like, oh, I've reached the goal, right? Because we're always redoing or always adding and always sort of tweaking, and always, we're in life, we're in journey, we're constantly, updating and upgrading and whatever. How do we reach a point where we actually get tangible results and feel like we have achieved our goal, even though we're still living in it and, running it and things like that, but just that feeling of closure?
So having a plan in mind is very important. It's having that plan that leads you to the destination. So if we have a plan, this is where all the different rooms of the house are going to be. This is the furniture that we're going to be incorporating into our house. These are the elements that we're going to be incorporating. These are the colors that we're going to be incorporating. Once we've ticked off all those different elements, colors, points, you've reached the destination. You do reach a destination by the end of it. Our homes are constantly changing, like you say, and sometimes we might change things up in different seasons. But at the end of the day, you are reaching your destination. And even if you decide to change something up, to add something, you're reaching your destination.
I think that this is a place where you can really see the difference between having a designer and not having one. Because when you're doing everything yourself, you're like, okay, we painted the walls, we put up the pictures or whatever it was, right? And we did this, that, the other, but there's still, the styling to do, or there's still whatever. Like for me, it took me a year to fill the picture frames that I hung. Right? Like I hung the picture frames without pictures because I was going to print the pictures, and then life happened. And one time somebody walked into the house and said, "Are you kidding? There's still the fake picture of like the happy family on your wall. Like this isn't you." And I felt so embarrassed. Like I'm still in process, okay? Like I haven't finished. And that, being in progress all the time is draining, because what it reminds you, it's in your face, literally in your face, that you are not finished and that there is something that you're not, like almost like, no, you are a failure, and you got this far and you just can't finish it yourself because there's so much to do. So having a professional whose job it is to just finish, most of the time you'll have a lot more luck with that because it's just so much easier.
Towards the end of our projects, we have a punch list that we go through, And it's a matter of, yes, getting through those punch lists, calling in the trades that have to fix something or complete something. So we know when we have all our ticks checked, we know we've reached completion, and that's always an exciting time.
That's really cool. How do you celebrate it with your clients?
So I celebrate it by being at the apartment when my clients arrive and just seeing their happy faces and their excitement when they walk into their home. I usually have a platter of fruit there waiting for them, and their refrigerator stocked. So that's the way I celebrate with them.
I love that. I love that. What about if you're designing, does it ever happen that you design a home that people are still living in?
Years ago, I designed a home that my clients were living in. It was a small renovation. So if I remember correctly, we did tiling and bathrooms. So our clients had to live, in parts of the home while, some of the tiling was being done, and they couldn't use one of the bathrooms. But we cannot do a full renovation with the clients living there. They have to move out. There's no other way about it. If you're doing, one room, it's one thing, but to do a full renovation, you must move out.
Right. I hear that.
It's not enjoyable. It's more difficult for the contractor, for us, and it's not enjoyable to you, to the homeowner.
Right. Okay, cool. So this is just so fascinating because, we all have these dreams and ideas and things and whatever. And how many of our listeners are just sitting there watching and being like, I wish, I wish. But it's so unattainable that you just wonder to yourself, like, why am I even listening? Like, why am I even bothering to listen to this podcast episode? It's so far-fetched from where I am now. And I think that's what I want to address right now is being willing to want, being willing to desire, even if you think that it's too far from where you are right now, just believing that it's possible, because that's really the only way it's going to become reality. Like if you stop it before it even allows itself to be, then you're the one who's not letting it be. Do you have to add?
I would say it's connecting to Hashem, and the same way we pray and ask for different things. It's a matter of connecting to Hashem where this is concerned, and asking. And Hashem listens and answers our prayers. And if that's something that you want, if that's something that's important to you, and that's what's going to help you to serve Him easier, then you ask.
I love that. And we have an episode with my father. Oh, he's so cute. And he said, you have to realize that everything you have, you need. Everything you need, you have. So anything past that is your wants. And we are expected to want things so that we reach for more than just what we need, so that we can do more in the world, so we can become more than just default. And so once you realize that, you're like, everything I need, I have, and what I have right now is fine. It's perfect. I'm not complaining. And I'm allowed to want more, right? They don't have to contradict. So I love that you say, turn to God, bring Him into the situation, say, I want to serve you, in a higher level, in a better way, in a way that I can, maybe welcome more people in, or create an atmosphere for my children and my marriage to really thrive. And, whatever it is that you want, be willing to desire, be willing to want it, because that's the step, that leads to all this. And that led to the step that you were saying about brainstorming and collecting ideas and Pinterest and whatever, really just allowing yourself to dream. And don't go down the rabbit hole and be there all day, collecting pictures. But if you are anywhere already, taking a break or sitting down to do something, put a timer for 15 minutes, if you're just relaxing or whatever, and allow yourself to dream, because that signals to your brain that this is where we're going, and it allows you to get there.
Yeah, it's the same idea with, writing down our goals, whether you do it weekly, daily, or or monthly. It's writing down those goals. It's seeing them materialize and ticking them off. And this can be one of them too.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm excited about announcing my intentions. I intend to, get that, some sort of upgrade with the home. I'm just waiting to see what that is. But I'm super excited about it. So I will upgrade. I'll update you guys when it actually happens. I'll definitely make sure to tell you.
Please
But
do.
it's in dream state that's almost there. Like, we're really close. I just haven't solidified it yet. That's really
Write
cool.
it down. Write it down.
Right?
Make it part of your goal list.
Yes, I'm going to write it down. I've already collected a bunch of different pictures on Pinterest. I'm actually ahead. So I'll go back and look at them, and I think it's going to spark some new ideas of, what else I want. So this is exciting. And
Amazing.
I know I love color. How do you deal with people who tell you, I don't want color. I don't want any color in my house. Like, I'm not a color person. But sometimes textures and, some color is
Layers. You can use even the same color, just different fabrics, layer different tones. If somebody doesn't like color, sometimes we just put a little accent of color, but just even taking the same color and layering the same color in different tones makes a big impact.
I love that. I love it. And I also want to bring here, allowing yourself to be yourself and not comparing and not expecting yourself to be different. A lot of people are like, I should be a minimalist, or I should, like, when everything else, when everything is out of sight, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you should not. You should be yourself, right? Like, really give yourself permission to love what you love and to hate what you hate, and to not make it mean anything. It's just about you loving your space and letting it fuel you and not drain you. I think that's really the way to wrap it all up, is let yourself get to know yourself and let yourself be yourself.
And you're the one that's going to be living there. So it doesn't matter what your neighbor has or what your neighbor suggests. You need to be happy with the space. You're the one that's going to be enjoying it.
Yes. Yes. And I would even go further than saying neighbor. Sometimes there's like
family, neighbor, milkman.
I can think of, all the guilt that, we have sometimes when a mother or mother-in-law says something, and then you're like, oh, but then, every time she comes, she's going to mention it or whatever. It's like, yeah, but she comes like how often? And you live here, like every day, all the time. So get rid of the guilt and the shame and all the stories about how it should be, and just love your space.
Yes.
I
That's
love
the way
it.
to do it.
How can people find you? How can they work with you?
So you can contact me by email or through my website at sandybinteriors.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, sandybinteriors.com.
That's amazing. And we're going to make sure to link all that below so you don't have a problem. You'll find it right away.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being with us. This was such a pleasure. And it also sparked a little bit of ideas for me. It's like, yes, I need to go back to that Pinterest board that I neglected. And I want to start collecting more specific ideas. Like, now that I left it for a while, I can go back and really see what resonates more, what really sparks me. And I like that you said sometimes you start to see a pattern or you start to see something that really speaks to you, and then you pull from there. So I love that. I'm going to go back and see if I can start playing with that a little more.
Share it with me when it's ready.
Yeah. Oh, I will. I'm excited about that. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here with us. Make sure to come back again next week for another amazing episode. And don't forget to be connected for real.
Thank you. Thank you.